Run it up. Run it up.
What is up, everybody? I am so stoked for today's live stream. Last week we were graced with Cam Mackey, which was awesome and hilarious. So today is my first time actually doing an entire live stream around a special guest, and my special guest is Dave Herring. I am super pumped for this. I put together a little video to tell you a little bit more about our guest, Dave Herring.
I'm going to shoot for like an hour and a half, and then I'm going to meet up with Dave Herring, and we're going to do some street photography round 2, but we're going to go to Brooklyn. Today's special guest is none other than Dave Herring, known for posting 2 videos a week unless something goes horribly wrong. Dave is a photographer and a videographer based out of the Bay Area with a passion for capturing rugged beauty in the diverse places of the western United States.
I'm about to pull into a town that's kind of a ghost town, but there are some residents there. And the last thing I want is to be standing in that town beside some buildings, doing stuff in the back here, attracting some curiosity as to what I'm doing, or whether they just see a camera or a couple of cameras and just know I'm a photographer and I'm not doing anything like weird.
He works primarily with Leica cameras, and I got to spend the weekend with him at our first Leica event.
An M camera is going to operate with the same technical ideas and principles that any other camera is going to operate with. And I came here with literally no plan. All right, so the rainforest is delivering on its promise to be a rainforest.
Dave's work revolves primarily around adventure photography, but he's well versed in capturing people, lifestyle, editorial, commercial, and other genres of photography as well.
Today's video is a buyer's guide in 2025 about the major M releases that Leica has done on digital. My Leica M11 is overpriced, under-teched, is that a word?
Dave also founded Very Good Presets, where he empowers photographers with highly detailed color grades for their photos. I mostly know him for just being a solid dude.
Well, there we go. That is kind of a little bit a precursor to Dave Herring. And Dave, do you want to give me a thumbs up if you're good to go?
Man, you're about to have
What's
a lot
up,
of disappointed people after that hype video. Bro,
That was,
you dove deep in there getting some of those clips.
I did. I wanted to find like some stuff that gave kind of an accurate depiction of like what your channel is about, what you're about.
Nice.
But of course, like I couldn't go over everything, and so that's kind of like today's videos. We get to relish into what you're doing and kind of our experience. I mean, we had separate experiences, but we spent a lot of time together at the Leica Event, which was super cool. So
yeah, it was awesome.
For everybody in the chat, if you don't know who Dave is a fantastic photographer and YouTuber. And we were actually talking about this in a taxi ride. And Dave was like, I'm finally getting to the point where I can call myself a YouTuber. so I
had a hard time with that word for like 2 years.
Yeah. I've been following you for quite some time. Since I was also on the Leica journey. You primarily use Leica, so it is what brought us together in New York. If you're okay with it, Dave, this is kind of like the rundown. Sorry, it's right on top of your face of what we're going to talk about today. I need this because I'm a rambler. I can ramble forever. So this just keeps me dialed in. But I want to talk about the event because for both of us, it was our first event, but I want to get your takeaway. I actually want to get your top 3 takeaways. Like, what did you come away with after that event? A lot of people in the chat, I've heard from past lives that I've done, are kind of like flirting. They're flirting. They're in the flirt stage with Leica, but they don't know which direction to go. And you've done some brilliant buyer's guides on Leica on your channel. So I would love to kind of pick your brain today. Of course, the M11P Safari dropped today. And that is one gorgeous camera. So I want to get your take on Leica, the Safari, and other special editions that maybe have, got your heartstrings. And then also maybe we can kind of cap this thing off with like our photo walk experience that we had in New York. How does that sound?
Sounds great. Yeah, sounds awesome. Right.
So I wanna go through the chat real quick and just welcome everybody that we've got. Azriel's in here, early gang. He was in here like right from the get-go, which is super fun.
Nice.
I don't know if you met him. I think you did Camera Fusion. He was at the event, and
I met so many people there.
I know.
Probably did meet Camera Fusion. Sounds familiar.
Yes, he's got a.
By the way, I'm like, I'm looking like here at the list. I've got a monitor here, camera here, so I don't know where to put my eyes right now. But if I'm,
for those that are watching,
I'm moving around a lot.
No problem. Like I said, like my computer is here, the lens is here. So when I talk to you, this is gonna get interesting. Tom, thank you. He says just watched Dave's latest video and it was brilliant. 100% agree with the Leica community is awesome. I think that's probably gonna be a focus of a lot of what we talk about today. I have a feeling.
Oh, cool.
Ollie chiming in, friend of the channel, Aaron Bloodworth. Buddy, it was so good to see you at the event. That was our first time meeting, even though we actually lived in Utah at the same time. So Aaron is a big Leica photographer and has many cool things.
Nice.
Let's see. Key sign phenomenon, Leica gang, glasses, purple, yellow, diamond. I don't know what that means, but okay. We're stoked.
That's some
to have
Discord
you
chat right
way.
there.
Yeah. Dave from Horizon Rose. Dave, your very good presets freaking rock, man.
Thank you.
They do. I got kind of not a behind the scenes look, but I got a little more technical acumen from Dave's Capture One conversion guy, Chris.
Yeah.
That was like super
Dude.
interesting to learn about how you do.
Yeah. He's brilliant.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun to listen to. Ansley, stoked to have you here, buddy.
Heck yeah, Ansley's here. Man, that guy's one of my like
Howdy,
film photography heroes.
That's a new one.
That's awesome.
Peter Bryan is here. He just says cameras, exclamation point.
Nice.
Just so you know, Camera Fusion did say hello to you. So
Oh, nice.
great memory, Dave.
What's up, everybody? Stoked. And there's so many comments, and I'm blind in my right eye. I don't know if we've ever even talked about that. So, and the
Dave, why don't
monitor's
you
on
just
this
get a
side, so I have
patch?
to like actually be like,
Dude, you'd be pretty badass. Just
you
get
know
a
what? I
patch.
thought about it, man. Like, I don't know if you guys watch Handmaid's Tale, but Janine has that patch, and every time I see it, I'm like, man, like that's a cool like fashion piece. So
You're just like a thinner Thor. Like Thor had a patch for like a movie,
Dude,
and then it went away.
I quit following Marvel after the first Avengers. I don't know what happened afterwards. So
Well, they shit the bed. That's what happened. Apparently,
yeah, there's too
Thunderbolts
many
is
movies,
Return to
man. I just
Glory.
I don't have the like stamina to follow along with like that much stuff.
Yeah, it gets
So I've moved on
for me
from it.
once they hit multiverse. I'm like, I think I'm gonna check out.
Yeah.
Julia says, I need that M11 Safari. I think there's a. I'm
Yes.
surprised it wasn't numbered. So it sounds like lots of
I
people can get
know,
one
yeah.
if they have $10,500.
Right. Or
Just Manchester.
if you have that inside
Oh,
deal.
sorry.
Yeah. I said, or
What
if
were
you
you
have that
saying?
inside deal with a certain guy who resells Leica gear, which
Yeah, I mean, you could go the Tim
Yeah,
Lay
it really
route.
is.
We pitch Tim Lay all the time on here, Dave. He's not a secret.
yeah, good. Yeah, I love that guy. I bought a lot
Yeah.
of gear off him. His price is much lower than the price through Leica.
Yep. We got a few more. Daniel from Boston, thank you for dropping in saying hi. Peter, there is no thinking to make the Leica jump. Apparently, it's just automatic. It's just get out of here. My good friend Matthew O'Brien is here. What's up, buddy? Yeah, I think we're ready to rock, Dave. Why don't we jump into this first thing, which was I honestly can't remember now. What was my first
First
talking
Leica
point? See,
event.
this is why I have talking points, Dave.
I think that's good.
Your first event. It was our first Leica event, Dave.
Yeah.
What drove you to go? Spend the money. Did you come away going, that was awesome and I'm so glad I did it? Or like what? Give me the take.
Yeah. I was like out of town on a trip when I got a text. I'm trying to remember where I've been. I've had a lot of travel lately. It may have been at NAB. I met Brandon at NAB. That was cool. But I got a text from my friend Chris, and he's our Capture One developer for Very Good Presets, and he was like, "Hey man, we should go to this." And I was like, he sent me the Eventbrite where Leica had posted, like a flagship New York store had posted about the event. And I was aware of it, but I hadn't considered really like it being feasible to go. A big part of it is because like just like straight up, I don't cross the Rockies very often unless it's like crossing the Atlantic also. So I don't like go to the East Coast hardly ever. I'm from the East Coast. I rarely ever go back. And so I was like, New York's kind of like far. And it's like that mid far where it feels far, but it might not be as far as like London.
Flight for you.
Yeah, but I mean, like if I go to London or like Italy, it doesn't feel like New York. For some reason, like mid-range flights feel longer to me than like long flight. Anyway,
Either an hour and a
so
half,
I was,
or it's 12.
Yeah.
You got no in
yeah,
between.
exactly. You know, but Chris was just like, we should go, and you know, I've been trying, like coming into 2025, a big part of this year, like last year, I did a lot of gear stuff, right? Where I tried monochrome cameras. I tried like some old CCD. I did a lot with gear last year.
Yeah.
Just trying to, you know, a lot of that was for the shop. A lot of that was research
Yeah.
for Very Good Presets. But this year I was like, I'm going to invest heavily into relationships. I don't have any plans to buy new gear this year. And then they come out with the Safari. But we'll talk about that later. But I was like, I'm gonna do everything I can to invest in people this year. And
Hmm.
so, like going to NAB, yeah, it was about going to see all the brands or whatever, all the new stuff. But it really was I went there to meet other people that do this, like you, Brandon, and some other people that I've chatted with for years, but I've never like had a face to face with. So this New York event felt like the right thing to say yes to. It felt like investing in relationships. I knew some of my friends, people that I know were going to be there,
Hmm.
people that I've worked with, as well as a lot of people I've talked to over the years, but I've never met. And so yeah, it was a really easy thing to say yes to, and I'm very, very glad that I did it. Like super glad that I did it.
Nice. Yeah, it was. I think I kind of, you know, I don't know if you knew this, but I had a separate channel that I ran full time before
Hmm.
doing caffeinated cameras, and it was so heavily focused on gear when I decided to make this switch. I very much went, I want to I want to foster relationships rather than like go
Hmm.
down that gear hole. And so I've been trying to take
Yeah.
advantage of any time I can meet people that are passionate about this. And so I mean, I love Leica. Of course, they have their faults, but
Hmm.
there's a lot of things that they're doing that nobody else is doing, and I think we got a sense of
Yeah,
that from this trip.
for sure.
And so, yeah, and it was cool because I was like, "Oh, Dave's going, and so's going, and Gadgen's going to be there." And I was like, "Yeah, I gotta go." So
Yeah.
I'm really, really pumped that I went. I definitely think it was worth it, and if nothing else, just it's invigorated me to keep pursuing photography.
Hmm.
And I think if I were to get one of your takeaways, probably my biggest takeaway is just how different Leica is from other brands when it comes to how
Yeah.
they foster the community, specifically around photography. What do you,
Hmm.
I mean, did you see that while you were there?
100%. That's actually like what the theme of my video that I put out today was like, the best part of being a Leica photographer isn't even the gear. It's not the
Hmm.
cameras, the lenses. Those are fantastic, but the best part is like the
Yeah.
community that comes with being a Leica photographer. Um, I ever since like moving into Leica, like fully invested in the brand, not like shooting one brand for work and having
Yeah.
Leica for fun. Um, Ever since making that move, it's just been like people, community. Um, it really is like a family. And I know that sounds so stupid and cliche to
Yeah, I know.
say, but
Yeah.
it really is like very much a brotherhood, a sisterhood. It's a highly relational brand, and it's more than I've been really like processing like what makes it that way. And
Hmm.
if I can just like share like those
Please.
observations. Number
This is your
one, I think
platform.
that the I think that the brand itself is very unapologetically all only about photography. Yes, they make expensive cameras. Yes, they're profitable. Of course, they're profitable. They probably have good margin, all that stuff. But name one, like, well, first off, Leica has stores that are about their brand, right? There's
Hmm.
no in San Francisco here. There's no Sony Alpha store, right?
Yeah.
But if there was, I've been in a DJI store.
Okay.
I didn't see any gallery around that. I didn't see photo books
Yep.
in that. Um, you go in a Leica store, you're gonna see galleries of Leica users, and some of them
Hmm.
I've never even like heard of. It's not
Yeah.
influencers, it's photographers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Leica fosters an empowerment already. Like here at the San Francisco store, we have events all the time featuring photographers on like literally book tours, and they might not even shoot Leica. like
Hmm.
like I bought a book. Peggy Nolan came through San Francisco. Most people don't even know who she is. Her Instagram is like a few thousand people, but she documented throughout like the 70s and 80s and 90s her big family of kids being raised, and she
Hmm.
just has this photo book of like iconic 70s, 80s, and 90s photos. They're amazing. But it's like she came and like she wasn't like using Leica, she was using whatever,
Yeah.
but like they did a whole event around her at at the store,
Yeah.
like Leica's very photography forward, even though the brand itself is a very like profitable, good brand. But you don't get that feeling when you're in like a San Francisco or like a New York or like a Rome for that matter, or like a in London. You don't get like you just don't get those feelings. You get galleries, you get photo books, you get gear, yeah. But
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
so already, like the first thing I think is like the brand is set up to empower photographers. Like, hey, here's my gear. Like, it's like no, here's some gear, but here's like great photography as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big part of it. I also think that man, this might get me in trouble here, but Leica has it has a high buy-in. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
and it, if you shoot Leica, there's a high buy-in, right? Financially, and unless you are like stupid wealthy, it requires like some sacrifice. And I didn't get the feeling that everybody at the Leica 100 event was some like, doctor and lawyer, as they say, walking around. There's a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
regular people, that have definitely sacrificed to have what they have. And I feel like when you have items or like something that has a high buy-in, whether that buy-in is financial, but it also could be time commitment, it could be like investment in other areas of life as well. When you have that high buy-in, it kind of like takes out the people that would not be willing to go that far. Like for instance, a good example here is as a YouTuber, I get crazy comments on every video, right?
Hmm.
Um, but most of those people that are leaving those comments are not like invested into the ecosystem. They're not my crowd. You know what I mean? Like I've had to really like that's like a big truth. Like I have my people, but the
Yeah.
people that are nasty are typically not my people. So why do I even care what they think or say? you know? And
For
it's kind
sure.
of like
Yeah.
that. Like, yeah, the Leica community, because of that high buy-in, it almost creates like your people. Does that make sense? Like, I
Yeah.
hope that
For
what I'm
sure.
saying is clear. Like, there's almost like an instant like you've bought into this, so therefore like you've been willing to make the sacrifice, you are willing to do the hard thing, you are willing to step into this, so therefore you can be trusted socially with us. I guess is like the point I'm
I
making.
I do like the
And it
hey,
comes
you're
across that
crazy
way.
too. Let's be crazy together.
Yeah, exactly. We're all nuts, but like we're all nuts together because we've all kind of passed that test. Like that we bought into it, we sacrificed, we came in, we're here. So I
I
think that
think
like that's a big part of what makes that community work.
yeah, it was an interesting that moment before Gadgen's photo walk. There were so many people inside. So just for everybody watching, so you had Leica in New York, the Leica store in New York, which is their like flagship store, and across the street they had set up a special like gallery and kind of an auction spot where you could see some really rare Leicas. And the amount of people that were filling the street, both the store and the gallery, not you would think with a company like Leica, you would get a certain look across the board of people.
Mm,
And I tell you, like the diversity of Leica's community was so incredibly eclectic. And for
yeah,
me,
it really was.
that made it awesome. So when people are like it's a dentist doctor's camera, that could be further from the truth. Yeah, like
Yeah.
the night that I got there, I ended up getting to hang. I got to hang out with a friend, and then some of the people from Leica, New York, and some of their people. And yeah, some of those people have a crazy collection. Like the
Hmm.
the amount of money that was in their gear was wild. But then you go to this event, and you see people shooting on cameras that they purchased in 1965 and people
Right.
with Rolleiflex, like all of this. There's got to be more than just a dollar amount and a brand name that brings these people together. And I
Yeah.
think that is Leica's passion in the craft, not just their cameras. It wasn't like somebody was at the door checking camera brands, letting people in. Like everybody got to come, and it was super fun to watch.
Yeah. There was a guy walking around the event with a Fuji and he kept apologizing for it. I heard him apologize like three people. He's like,
Yeah.
did you see that guy?
Well,
Like,
I saw Oscar, or not Oscar, Omar from YouTube. He's got like a pretty big channel, and he had like I think he had a Ricoh GR3 or something like that.
yeah.
Like I saw that. I saw a couple of other cameras. Like somebody had like a normal Canon, like an R5.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah. I remember that guy though with the Fuji. He walked up and I was like in a pocket of like 4 or 5. I was like, I'm a Fuji guy. I'm so sorry. I was like, bro, we were all like, who cares, man? Like like this is about photography. Like not even like we're here celebrating the brand that we shoot and love, but like, man, like we are about the craft. We're not about like, oh, we're gatekeeping now because this Fuji guy showed up. Let's beat him and drag him out of here. Like that couldn't be further from what that community is.
It was definitely kind of eye-opening for me, and as a person that's, I mean, I left going, I really appreciate this brand even more, because I see like how much effort they put into their people, not just their people, but anybody that really wants to go out and shoot and enjoy the process of shooting. I thought that was really cool. If you're okay with it, speaking of gear, we've got some people in here that might be thinking about jumping into the deep end with Leica. We just talked about buy-in, and now that we have tariffs,
the buy-in
that have increased prices pretty dramatically.
Yeah.
Maybe Dave, with your expertise, because you kind of, I mean, at one point you've owned one from each system, so maybe you can kind of give us a rundown of Leica's line, and also kind of recommendations, if you don't mind. You can go back, because I know you've tried the M8, the M9, older Q2, that sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, there's 3 like flagship lines with Leica at the moment: the SL, the Q,
full
and the
frame,
M.
right?
Yeah. I mean, they also have like the Deluxe, but I wouldn't call it like their flagship line. Those cameras are made in Asia, and they're not, they're just, it's a different, still great cameras. Don't get me wrong, but they're like the Q, the M, and the SL. My experience, I've owned everyone. Like I've had an SL, I've had a Q multiple times. I've had various M's. And so, like, I feel like I'm pretty well versed with like what those cameras, what they do. And I think a lot of people come into buying new gear, and this is true of Leica or anything, as one of 2 things: either to be inspired or to solve a problem, right? So sometimes like a new piece of gear inspires you, right? Like I get inspired using like my gear, and I bought that gear because it inspires me. But there's also like the solve a problem route. I think that like you almost need to like really check both of those boxes to like make the right lasting investment. If you're just doing one or the other, you're probably gonna be a camera flipper, right? Somebody who gets a camera, uses it a little while, it didn't solve the problem, or it didn't inspire you, so you move it on. So what I really advocate for is like find the type of photographer you want to be. Like, or do you want to be an autofocus photographer? Right? Do you want to be a manual focus photographer? Because you are going to get in the main Leica world, SL, Q, and M. 2 of those are autofocus, 1 is not. And so right there alone, like I get comments on my YouTube videos sometimes like, well, Leica doesn't have autofocus or IBIS or an EVF. Like they're so behind. And I'm like, bro, like I pay for not having those things. Like I want those, I want the experience of not having those things. That's what I'm paying for. So, so like for me, the problem I was trying to solve was to become more of the photographer and let the camera like become less of a workhorse, right?
Yep.
I still shoot Sony for video, right? I was a Sony
Yeah.
photographer prior to moving fully to Leica M. But my goal was like, man, my Sony does literally all the work for me. If I can compose, like right now, I've got a Sony a7S III on this tripod, and there's a box around my eye the entire
Yeah.
time we're talking, right? Because it's so good at what it does. I didn't want to do that anymore. The problem I wanted to solve was I wanted to like become more one with the camera, right? So therefore, I could throw my Sony into manual focus and turn off a lot of these features, but still big, still heavy. I wanted, the other problem I wanted to solve was like smaller kit, easier carry. I live in the Bay Area. I don't want to be noticed when I'm out walking around with my camera.
Yep.
So all these little things like that, right? So for you, if you're thinking about like buying a system, the first thing you need to ask yourself is like, what problem do I want to solve? If you want to shoot something that's comparable to like a Sony, a Canon, a Nikon or whatever, you want the autofocus, you want to change lenses, you want, the SL system then is like what you're going to be after. If you want an everyday camera that's kind of like an M but has autofocus, then the Q is going to be what you want. But then when you get into the M's, right, they all
This
kind
is
of
the
like,
M,
it's
just
funny.
FYI.
Yeah.
for
Yeah, I
people.
forget. Yeah. This is my M11. This is the M. But when you get into the M, like if you go back to the film days, right? The camera is just a black box, right? So like the film is what the film and the lens make the look. The camera is just a shutter. It's a fancy shutter, right? And so the M is a means to the lens, right? In the film days, the M was a means to get that lens on a body. That's what it was. And of course, an excellent, well-made camera, reliable, not gonna like, crap out on you. And what just well made, right? And so in the digital world, though, it's a different animal. Every sensor has different technology in it. Even though like we're not packing the sensor with like autofocus, we're not packing the camera with all these features. Those sensors have different tech. So like you take the M8, which I owned an M8. It's got banging amazing colors, right? Like the M8 is right out of the camera, some of the best looking files. But the trade-off from, it was made by Kodak. Like Kodak and
Is that
Leica
the
made
CCD
that sensor.
sensor one?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Kodak and Leica collaborated to make that M8 sensor. However, it's a crop sensor. It's not full frame because back then they couldn't pull off a full frame sensor. So it's crop. I think it's 1.33 crop, maybe. I don't remember what it is. But the M9, also with the M8, it couldn't handle direct sunlight on black. It had infrared light sensitivity. They couldn't solve that problem back then. Yeah, your blacks become purple. So you had to wear, you had to put a filter on your lens to cut the infrared so that you could get true color, right?
Okay.
So by the M9, they improved on that. It's the same Kodak made sensor with Leica, but you've got great colors, full frame. It was kind of like the peak of CCD. Most people regard the M9 as like the best CCD between the two. Anyway, I'm not going to go through every camera, but the point I'm making is that like that tech was great then, but like that tech is so vastly different from the M11.
Yeah.
Yet people today are still buying that tech for what it was back then. And that is such a unique thing. I feel like in the Leica buying like world, is that these cameras, they retain their value so much because they're still desirable. Like you think about the M8, which came out in 2006, I think. We're talking about a camera that's 20 years old almost, That's wild, man. Like go get me a phone from 20 years ago and put it in my hand, or a computer from 20 years ago, like that's wild, man. That would be completely obsolete garbage at this point, right? There are landfills with newer tech than that. Yet that camera is still selling for like $1,800, $2,000. That's pretty wild.
That's kind
when
of
you think about it, Um,
It
and
is.
you know, that's just kind of the reality of it.
Yeah, it's kind of wild to see. I mean, every brand has their cameras that people still hold on to, Nikon D850, something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, you look at Leica and you can go so far back and people are
Yeah.
still rocking those cameras. Like the event was a perfect use case where we saw
Hmm.
cameras that were 40, 50 years old and people are like, nah, I shoot on this all the time. Like it was wild to
Yeah.
see a guy running around with a Leica 1 a Leica 1A and it still worked. And it's like
Yeah.
that camera's
Yeah.
so freaking old and
Yeah. Camera's
yeah,
like 80 something years old,
very
90
unique.
something years old. It's wild. Yeah. I mean, like that's the thing, man. Like, when it comes to like buying that first Leica, I just tell people like solve that problem. You know, what are you trying to do? What
Yeah.
problem you're trying to solve? And then what's going to make you want to make photos? You know, what's going to make you want to like actually put the camera up to your eye and press the shutter? And that's where SLQ. Some people get frustrated with the and I get that. I've had a lot of people go the other way, and they share their stories with me all the time. And my Instagram is like story time with Dave, and I love it. Like I get a ton of messages of people sharing their journeys. Um, but they're like the M was frustrating for me. I missed focus all the time, so I got a Q.
Yep.
That's awesome. They solved that problem, and they want to use the camera. But yeah, if you guys are thinking about going that direction, getting into the M system or getting to like a solve the problem, get inspired, and then buy used in the beginning. You know, buy
Yes.
used because Leica gear retains its value. I mean, we just talked about the M8, 20 years old, still selling for $1,800 to $2,000, which is
Yep.
amazing. Which means that you can buy that camera today for like, let's say you got it for $1,800. I bet in a year from now you can sell it for, guess what,
Yeah.
$1,800, which is like you never had the camera to begin with. And there's
Yeah.
no other brand you can do that with. There's no other brand.
It's it is kind of wild to see like some of their initial prices. You're like sticker shock for sure. But if you just spend some
Mhm.
time and go into MPB, Facebook, the Leica classifieds, and the other thing that I noticed is it's kind of this weird dichotomy where you get a camera that's like this and you're like, oh my god, that's like so much money. But
Mhm.
and then your first thought is to baby it and to take care of it, but you can beat the
Yeah.
ever living hell out of these things.
I don't baby
And
mine.
most, yeah, dude, I really do. I'm I wouldn't say I'm hard on my gear, but I'm also not like set. No, like I will toss it to
Right.
people. I told you about like my thumbnail for my
Mhm.
SL2S video. I'm literally spraying it with a garden hose. Um,
Yeah.
the thing about most Leica people is they take really good care of their stuff though. And so when you get
Mhm.
something used, I have all of the gear other than like two pieces I've got used. And when I've got it, it's basically brand new. I'm like, wow, I just saved myself like 30% on this
Yeah.
camera or this
Yeah.
lens. So
Seriously.
I would
I
definitely echo Dave and say go used. Dave, if
I
I
have
may,
some gear that I bought. I have some gear that I bought at Leica San Francisco that
yeah,
I could have bought used, but I bought it from them. I spent a little more money because I want my camera store to stay open, and I want the people in
I
there
love
to
it.
know that not. I also want the people that work there to know that I value them and
Hmm.
their careers enough that I'll spend 10% more or 20% more on some things occasionally as I can. I'd love to buy everything new, but I'm just not in that position.
Yeah,
But I'd have nothing.
I
But
feel you.
like I bought some stuff. I bought my M6 retail from Leica San Francisco. I bought my 50 Summilux close focus retail from Leica San Francisco. I bought my 28 Summicron from Leica San Francisco. But my M11, my 35, I got them used. I got
Yeah,
them shipped to me. Other cameras that I've had and sold. I've had a lot of different cameras over the years. Like many of them came used. But all that to say, if you buy new retail, you'll probably take a little bit of a hit, but it
yeah,
won't be a huge hit. But if you buy used, you'll always have out of it what you have in it, unless the economy completely crashes.
yeah. Um, Aaron just said shot street with an 85-year-old Leica lens last night.
Amazing. That's incredible.
That's pretty rad.
I've got
Uh,
I've got one over here that I think is if Ansley's still here, he's the one that inspired me to get this. It's pre-M mount. It's a screw mount
Oh,
lens.
it's a screw.
So
It's
M
the screw
mount.
mount.
Yeah, but I have like a adapter living on it, so
Yeah.
I can put it on the M. It's a 50, the 50 Sumatar. It's a
Oh,
Leica
cool.
lens from like I think my copies from the like early 50s, which is crazy.
That's rad.
I used to put that on my M monochrome
Yeah.
and walk around San Francisco. I've got a whole video where I literally went out with the Sumatar and the monochrome and took photos like it was, 1951. It was awesome.
That's cool. My buddy Kenny let me borrow during a trip. I think it was the first 50 Summicron. It's that extendable one.
Yeah.
So I got to play with that, and it was cool. Like
That's cool.
it was super fun. I want to kind of pick your brain about the M, just because I know that's the system we kind of like prefer to shoot on. For me,
Mhm.
I was really hesitant about getting the M. Like using a rangefinder, I have like a really effed up right eye. I'm not blind or anything, but I got a bunch of concussions, and this eye has to work really hard. And when it works really hard, it kind of craps out my brain. And
Yeah.
so using a rangefinder patch, it really forced my eye to work hard, and it was just a struggle. But
Yeah.
I also saw this camera as like, this is going to develop some skills that you will not get with other cameras. And so to me, I took that as like a challenge and a way to practice. And I was like, if nothing else, I'll get better at some aspects of photography. Maybe not composition or something like that. But I bought this as a means to get better. And slowly but surely, this thing has buried its way into me. And now it's kind of like, even though I think I take better photos on my SL2S sometimes, but this is by far my favorite way to shoot. I love shooting on this. What is it about the M that just like does it for you?
Yeah, I mean, I just go back to what I was saying earlier. Like, I get to be the photographer, which matters a lot to me with the like craft of photography. Because I did others, I like doing commercial work for so long, like where just so bored. I did a shoot right out of the pandemic. I had my Leica, but I didn't use it. I used my Sony kit. I was doing a lot of commercials. I shot 200 dresses across 12 models in 2 days for a company here in the Bay that rents high-end like Indian saris for Indian weddings, right?
Okay.
It was so like, that sounds exciting, right? You're like, I'm gonna shoot all these fashion against a backdrop. It'll be really cool. They're moving around. It's gonna be fun. My camera literally did all the work. Autofocus is so good on Sony. It was just like pop, 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 pop. It was the most boring shoot I had done in a long time. I can't do that with the M. I don't do that kind of work anymore.
Yeah.
But I can't do that with this. I just like, I would be sitting there like, okay, like it wouldn't go down the same. I love using this camera because I get to be the photographer. The camera's not doing all the work for me. I love the form factor. I love the lenses. I love M lenses. Especially M lenses with a focus tab. I put a focus tab on my lenses that don't have one. So,
really?
yeah. Funny enough, Seven Artisans makes a little rubber like 3M patch focus tab. You can stick it on anything.
Oh, really?
So
Okay.
yeah, I have it on lenses don't have focus tab. But yeah, I love being a photographer with this. This makes me want to use it. Whereas like my Sony, and again, there's nothing wrong with Sony. It just, for me, it wasn't inspiring me. It was solving my problems, but it wasn't inspiring.
Yeah.
I remember when I checked both boxes. This camera does that. It solves my problem and it inspires me to use it.
We have somebody in the chat. Jaime is joining us live stream. Jaime took us to do street photography, and so I have my video coming out tomorrow morning. You'll have to watch it, but there's a fun clip of Jaime. So Jaime shoots for Leica. He's a fantastic photographer. He's a funny human being. But there are two things that I took away from Jaime. Is one, he has no fear. Like the first time we met him, he was like, "Guys, I'm gonna go get rejected," and walked over. Got like right in this dude's face. Was going to shoot, and the guy was like, "No." I was like, "Holy!"
He literally said, Jaime. I'm glad he's here. He literally was like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna go over here and get rejected. Watch." And he did.
And then he did.
I'm not that kind of photographer. I want to
me and
be,
Dave,
but I'm
I
not.
both went. Me and Dave looked at each other and we're like, we can't do that. Like, I'll be 40 feet away. Jaime's like right there.
I mean, I
The
don't
other
try to be
thing-
a street photographer, so like
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily wanting to do that anyway. But like,
Same.
I would love to get to the point where I could go up and get in someone's face and not care.
I think part of I think a part of what could help me get there is the other thing that I learned about Jaime, and it's his proficiency with that camera. The speed in which that guy can get up close. I mean, that's like the hardest thing to do on an M is shoot wide open and nail focus.
Yeah.
And he will like charge to people, boom, take one shot and he's got it. And it's crazy
amazing,
to see how quick he is with an M. I think Alex Barrera and I, like when we did the Times Square thing, he's like, holy shit, like he's so fast. So I think once you've got that connection with you and that camera, like I don't know if you could get a better human camera connection than you can with an M.
Absolutely. And there's a muscle memory that comes with that. Like, you know, you kind of just learn where things are. And then getting into like zone focusing. I love zone focusing. I did that the whole time we were in Times Square. My Times Square video comes out Monday. But like shooting like that, that's a ton of fun. Like, and discreet.
Yeah.
Wasn't in anybody's face.
I'm going to go into the comments for a little bit because we've got some new ones coming in.
Yeah.
Aaron says, your current bayonet started in 1954, so Dave's screw mount is older. So fun fact. If you guys don't know, Aaron Bloodworth knows a metric crap ton about Leica. Ansley says,
I think I checked my serial number once. I think it was like 1951 or something like that, but it might be. I don't really remember. I know the 1938 ones I think are radioactive. So I was like, don't get those.
The orange yellow ones.
Yeah.
Ansley says the 5 cm Sumatar is the Leica glass I have currently that covers the X2D without any vignette to a lot of value. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's wild.
Angel asks you, Dave, did you get the M11P Safari yet? Do you want to give anybody an update into your wildness? You want to?
So I had I was like, okay, to pull this off, I have to like get as close to breaking even as possible. So I put I said, hey, I'm gonna sell my M11 if my Instagram wants it, and I had a guy want to buy it. So we're actually hopping on a call here in a little bit. So the M11 might be sold, which puts me a little over 2/3 there, and then I've got another camera for sale that I expected to sell. It was one that was from a brand deal I did, and then so they sent me a kit. I'm not using it. I like it, but I'm just not using it. I just take my Leica. So if I sell that, we're good to go. And the M11P Safari might be the camera.
And we're going to talk about these here in a bit. Jaime says I'm only here for cyberbullying. That's about right. Feeder says that's muscle memory right there. Know thy lens. I think it is. You get people in Leica system. Very rarely do I see people coming from Canon, Nikon, Sony, and I could be wrong. But with Leica, you're a person. Like I'm a 28 person. I'm a 35 person. I'm a 50 person.
It's true.
And I think one of the reasons why is you have to spend so much time with that lens to become like intimately proficient with it. Like for me, I'm a 50 person. I'm putting almost every shot into the 50 so I can get as good as I possibly can with that camera and that lens. Dave, you could probably answer this one. Angel asks, thoughts on the APO 35 for the M. Have you used that lens?
My first thought is it's very expensive. I don't have one. Apple lenses are like, they are so sharp. They have so much contrast. They're beautiful lenses. I shoot Summilux lenses mostly. I like the character of Summilux lenses. But yeah, I've shot a 50 Apo. I've never shot a 35 Apo. I don't think I've ever even seen one in person outside of the Leica store.
Yeah, they are very pricey. If you don't have $9,000, Angel, might I suggest this? This is the Voigtlander version.
Yeah.
This is the 50 f2 APO. I've been shooting this lens for the last year, like solid. Basically every day. It's starting to wear on me, which is pretty cool. I would say that this lens is very comparable to Leica's lens. There are some characteristic differences between the two, but the sharpness and the contrast that you get out of this lens is incredible. And you can pick them up for anywhere from like 700 to like 850
Yeah.
bucks.
Which is
So
90% off the Leica version.
yeah, yeah.
So
Where I do think this lens shines, and I've only gotten to try it once, is on a monochrome. I think APO lenses on monochrome cameras look insane. So, yeah. Anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there.
yeah, that's cool.
Ansley says the radioactive ones are the coolest ones. Aaron,
You're okay as long as you don't eat them, I think.
Yeah. Just wear your gloves and your Michael J. Fox thing, and you're good to go. Aaron says APO 35M is technically disappeared the best lens ever made. Told to me directly from Peter Karb, the optics executive in charge. Peter Karby, I can't remember how to pronounce his last name, but basically he's responsible for some of the most iconic lens designs of modern Leica glass.
He's a legend. Yep.
Tom says the 50 APO from Voigtlander is king, and it is an absolute monster on the monochrome sensor as well. All right, Dave, since we kind of like talked about your fun little M11P Safari.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like you're pretty excited for this one. Earlier we talked about it, and I was like, it's interesting that they're not numbered, but Aaron did mention in the chat, he was like, they're not numbered, but they're very limited in stock, and so they go quickly.
Yeah.
I love that Leica does special editions. I'm actually doing my second video is going to be on the Leica community, but with a heavy emphasis on Leica special editions because we saw so many of those while we were at the event. Yep. Aaron, I'm excited to hear Aaron's take on this because Aaron has a pretty extensive collection of like special editions and specifically lenses that were special editions. But
that's awesome.
Leica is pretty unique in this. Let's be honest. Like there's not a lot of camera companies that are coming out with special editions that aren't just the same camera with like, you know, an engraving here or a slight change to this. Like right. You could look at something like the Zagato, like a Leica M Zagato, or the Leica M60. They made 600 of them. They were designed by Audi. It was stainless steel, like the entire lens was pretty incredible. One, I would love to hear your take on why do they do this? Does it, I mean, like, what are they possibly getting out of it? And then two, I would love your, if you can, Dave, this might be tough. I want to hear a top 5 rundown of Dave's most coveted Leica M special editions or lenses. You can also put lenses up there.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Why I think they do special editions?
Yeah.
I mean, they definitely have a heritage in the brand, and heritage typically attracts collectors. And so I there are for sure people that get into that. They're like the special editions are kind of like nice items, like heirlooms, almost collector items. I mean, like, I don't even know what version this is, but somebody had a gold Leica walking around. I was like, man,
that was Matthew Gatone's.
Yeah, I knew it was Matthew. I don't know what version the camera was though.
Yeah, it was actually gold plated, which was pretty wild. With gray snake skin. It's in my video tomorrow morning. You'll get an up close and personal of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I saw it. I saw him with it, and I was like, my God, what model is that? I don't even know what that is. So like, there definitely is, like, because the brand has so much heritage, it's always going to attract collectors that enjoy special editions. But there's also like a bit of a it's kind of like an outfit, you know, like how you dress. And like, but
Yeah, yeah,
Leica's making, I feel like they're making stuff that you're going to keep for a long time. Like,
yeah.
my friend Wayne, who works in Leica San Francisco, he uses an M9. That
Uh-huh.
thing, he bought it new, okay, back in what, 2008 or I think, or nine or something, 2009. Uh, he has worn all the paint off of it where his hands go. Like it's so brassed and beautiful. It's like the most beautiful inline I've ever seen. And that's not a special edition, but the point I'm making is that like Leica makes cameras that people keep for a long time. And so something like a special edition that's going to matter to you, or be
Yeah.
or like something like the New York edition, the Milan edition, you know, all these locations where they're doing their 100 events, like those are commemorating a moment. And but they're also thinking like this is a camera in this time that'll matter to somebody for a long
Hmm.
time. So the
Yeah.
special editions, I think, kind of feed that like part of us that want to commemorate something, but also we identify with them. Like Stock Easy, he had the 1 out of 100, and he
Yeah. It's
should.
serial number
He's an
one.
iconic. He's an iconic New York. Like who else? You know. So
Yeah.
like that is a moment, and it's part of his identity, you know, which I think is a beautiful thing. So uh really cool. So I don't know. I think a lot of the special editions are for like, you know, part of that is like the heritage and the collectors, but also like they let you like self-identify with something a little deeper than just like your standard black or silver like a M camera is gonna do.
This is I totally agree. Like this is my Q2, this is my Ghost. This was my first Leica. And there have been many times where I thought about getting rid of this, and ultimately I don't because it's a Ghost. Like I think
Yeah.
had I just bought a regular Q2, then it's a little easier to part with it. But
Hmm.
knowing that this one is special, I'm like, oh, I got to hang on to that. And like then I bought the reporter version of the SL2S, and
Yeah.
while that is a phenomenal camera, knowing that it's the reporter, I'm like, nah, I don't want to get rid of it. You know how hard it would be to
Yeah.
find like another one of these, and
Yeah.
so I totally understand. Like if you get something that's like, wow, this is commemorating that moment. This was really hard to find.
Hmm.
Anyway, it was a limited number of pieces. Like
Yeah.
you're probably gonna hang on to it. Out of those like limited number of pieces, Dave, give me. We know that the M11 Safari is obviously something you really enjoy
Hmm.
because you're trying to
Yeah.
make some moves to get one. Are there
Yes.
any others out there that you're like, ooh, this is like what are your like holy grails of Leica?
It's funny because I'm a pretty simple dude, right? I'm not like I'm not really into like all this like glam or these like
Hmm.
like all the special editions like they don't get me like all excited because they don't necessarily identify with me. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
like I don't know
yeah,
if
yeah.
I have like a top 5 lust list. I'll tell you the styles of cameras that I love, which I've never owned,
Okay,
are cameras that are green. Like that's why
okay.
the Safari honestly,
Green does
two
it for
things:
Dave.
a brass camera that is green gets
Yep.
me pumped because that green. So like why green? Green is like, I don't know, if you were to like find photos of me over the last 20 years, you're gonna see me in a lot of army green. Not
Yeah.
That's just my color. Like I have CPO jackets. I use Filson, which has a lot of like military green.
Yeah.
Ton of my
That's like
accessories just sitting around are that same green. Like this little
yeah.
case on my desk, it's that same green. Um, Green is my glasses. I have green glasses. Like and so I've always wanted a camera
You and
that'll
Cam
brass.
Mackey are soulmates, bro.
I've never had a camera that'll brass. My M6 won't brass.
Yeah.
My prior M's, they won't brass. My M11's not going to brass. So I've always wanted a camera that will age and brass with me. And I wanted that camera to be green, which leads me to a Safari or a Reporter,
Okay.
right? My friend, wow, there's balloons on me. Okay.
You did
Uh, I
some sort of
saw balloons
gesture.
pop up on it. Yeah. Okay. The M10 Reporter,
Yep.
is a beautiful camera. They made 450 of them.
Yeah.
That camera brasses, and my friend Danny in Nebraska has one, and it is, oh my God, it is so beautiful the way it's brassed. The
I
Safari will
know
do
the
the
Danny.
same. Um, uh, I I get pumped thinking about, a Safari because it's green and it'll brass. I would prefer, honestly, a M11 reporter, but I
Mhm.
don't like the Kevlar. That's not for me. I'm more of a leather guy. So
Okay.
I know you can replace it. You can take that
Yep.
Kevlar off and put
You
that,
can.
leather in its place. I like the black dials but it's like, where does that, again, this is going back to clothes, which is so stupid and such a first world problem, right? But for me, like the Safari kind of checks my boxes because I've always wanted a camera with the script on top. I've never had that either. All of my cameras have like no logos, right? Um, I take the screw. I mean, I took the red dot off mine, but like my M6 had the M6 on it. I blacked it out, so it's now I took the paint off of it. But I've never had a camera with the Leica logo script. I've always kind of
Okay.
wanted one. So the Safari checks out, the Reporter doesn't. The Reporter doesn't
Yep.
have any
Nope.
scripting on it. So I don't know. Like the Safari just feels like it might be the one. But somebody was like telling me today, they're like, "Well, you have to make all your lenses silver because you have black lenses." I was like, "No, I just
Yeah, you're
rock
gonna have
I
to
rock
switch
black
everything
lenses
out,
on that
buddy.
Safari, whatever, man." Yeah, I'm
Um.
okay with black lenses on it.
Okay. So Jaime says, and customizations at Wetzlar are awesome too. So that is something you can do. You can always send in your camera.
Yep.
Well, I don't think you can send it in. If you go to Wetzlar, one, I know they'll engrave it for you, Dave. So you can get your
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Safari engraved, which is pretty cool. And or if you got a reporter, you could get it engraved. You
Get
could
the
get the
logo,
script,
get the
and
script
you could
added. Yeah.
replace the
Yes, that's
Kevlar
true.
with the leatherette.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we got some good comments in here. I'm going to go through them real quick, if that's cool with you. Let's see, and some questions geared towards you. So I'll hit just the basic comments, and then if you don't mind answering some of these.
Yep.
Ishkan, met Ishkan at the event too. It was awesome seeing him, and he says, "True, the hardest part was choosing a specific model. That's why it took me so long to get one."
Mm.
Tom, me and you are on the same page here, buddy. The Stealth Edition monochrome is still the best edition they've made. Ansley asks, did they decide to do the Safari P with the brass instead of aluminum chassis? And
Yeah. It's
Aaron
brass.
says, yes, it's brass. Well, that's baller. I always felt like that was the biggest downside of my M11.
Yeah.
Oh, Jaime says you can send it in. So maybe I've always been an individualistic person. I'm very aesthetically and tactilely
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
like I want stuff to look good. I want stuff to feel good, and I like to have things
Right.
that are not necessarily that nobody has. That's not the mentality. It's just I want something different and unique to me. That like,
Hmm.
so that's why I buy the ones that I buy. If I could have any camera right now, and I told you today, I don't know if they would ever make
Hmm.
it, but they made a Leica Q2 reporter, but they did a really
Hmm.
a limited number, I think 250 in a monochrome. And if they did that same
Yeah.
thing for an M11 monochrome, but a reporter version, oh,
Mm.
that would be a
Yeah.
hard one for me to avoid. Also, the stealth, but my ultimate holy grail is that M60. That's the one that I
Yeah.
really like. That
Yeah.
would be my holy grail.
That's
All
cool.
right, so I've got a question for you, Dave, from Tom. He says, Dave,
Okay.
with more time going into the very good presets and the great Discord community, Dave also has the very good Discord, and expanding the team, are there any peeks behind the curtain for what's coming?
Sure. I don't care. I'll talk about stuff. Um,
Okay.
for those that don't know, like Very Good is my brand, whether it's
Yep.
presets or my whole company is Very Good Creative. The Discord, the Very Good Discord. Actually, by the way, I got that from Parks and Rec. Ron Swanson leaves Parks and Rec at the end of the series and starts Very Good Building, and I always thought it was the funniest thing ever. I identify with him a
Parks and
lot.
Rec is my all-time favorite, so that makes me so happy.
Same, dude. I love
I can
Parks
talk
and Rec
about
so
Parks
much.
and Rec
I
like
watch
all
it
day
every year.
long.
Yeah, same. I watch it every year. I watch the whole series again.
You're gonna get a lot more
My
like
favorite show of all
GIFs.
time. Yeah, that's amazing. But anyway, so what's coming? I spend a lot of time developing presets. We make sure they work with one click. They work across
Yep.
many systems. A lot of time goes into them. I bought a Q2 monochrome last spring, a year ago at this time. to start working on a monochrome preset based on Leica's monochromes. I bought an M11 monochrome to continue that research, shooting a lot of M11 and M11 monochrome side by side. And of course, monochrome sensors are going to be able to do things that a color sensor can't. But the next pack, which is releasing on May 26th, for those that are watching, May 26th, it's called Monochrome L. It's based on the M11 monochrome. The modifiers include filters. We shot that camera side by side with color cards, different lighting, different skin tones, all side by side, simulating filters, with filters against the M11. And we have created a pack for Lightroom and Capture One that'll get you like 99% of what a Leica monochrome will look like if you shoot with like an orange filter on an M11 monochrome. You won't be able to distinguish a difference at first glance unless you really dive into some like spectrum of a color way deep in. So yeah, that's what's coming next. I also spent $600 back in December and bought 40 rolls of Fuji this is expired film, one Fuji 400H. That was in a freezer. The guy made me buy them all or none, so I bought them all. I've been shooting a lot of that.
That guy knows what he's doing.
That guy got me, man. But you know what? I've enjoyed shooting it. I mean, it's a film that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
so we are developing right now. Probably going to release that in the late summer or fall. Even it's not ready quite yet. It still doesn't. It's like certain scenarios it's perfect, and then other scenarios it's a little off, and so it's not ready. But so there's a Fuji 400 coming down the pipeline. Very excited about that. That'll be our first Fuji film preset. We mostly do Kodak. And then the one I'm most excited about, guys, it's some mad science stuff. I don't know. Can I share it? Do you care? It might take me a minute to get through it.
This is why we have you on. It's not like I can share it.
It's a mad science.
You're the only one that knows.
Yeah. Basically, I'm working on a preset right now. And I mean, a lot of boxes have to check to pull this one off. But it's based on an old film that that I was able to get 5 rolls of. Okay, color film, but you can't develop it in color anymore. You can develop it in black and white, but you can't develop it in color. So there's this process in photography. You can do this in digital, but it requires a monochrome to do it in digital, or you can do it with film. You can take 4 photos on a monochrome sensor or a monochrome film, and you can actually make it color. Shot 1, you just take the photo. Shot 2, he's be on a tripod, by the way. Shot 2, red filter. Shot 3, green filter. Shot 4, blue filter. In Photoshop, you assign the red filter to the red channel. You assign green and blue respectively. You stack these 4 photos together with your first shot being key. And even I converted Tri-X into color this way. I made a color Tri-X on Tri-X film by just using filters. That's not the one I'm doing, which by the way, color Tri-X was wild. It was wild. But I shot the Leica monochrome as well and made it color. Got color images out of the monochrome doing this. Pretty crazy stuff, the M11 monochrome. So there's a preset coming based on a vintage film, color film that you can't get anymore, but we got the colors out of it by stacking filters to create this. This is a huge undertaking. It's been a lot of work. Maybe the last preset that comes out this year. So I don't release some every few months, but it's gonna be badass. So I'm excited about it.
That's really cool, man. I love the Franken science to like
So there's some more stuff we're working on, but the monochrome pack will be next. The Fuji pack will be after that, and there's a few more things we're working on.
Sweet. Let me find this. Somebody, Daniel says, Mr. Dave, if you make a YouTube video with the 35mm Apo, I will give you my lens for a month or 2. I don't know if
Daniel, I'm going to look you right in the eye and just tell you, I'm not afraid. So just send me.
Somebody's like,
send me a DM on Instagram, and I will happily make some YouTube videos, give you a shout out, whatever it takes.
Yeah,
you want to send me the Apo for a couple months? Yeah, shoot me a DM over on Instagram at Dave Herring. I'm not afraid. Yeah.
Aaron says, So are the glossy black M11s, both the standard and the 100s. However, note that the glossy black 51.2, the Noctilux, is aluminum. All
Yeah.
right. Ansley, you and I are the same. I'm weird in that regard. I don't like the black paint cameras. I am one of those weirdos that just doesn't like glossy black paint. But with brass, it would be perfect.
Yeah.
Good friend, Tyler Edwards. What's up, buddy? Stoked you're here. And let's see. Ansley says, you better send the Aerochrome preset for me to mess with.
It's not Aerochrome. That would be baller too though.
Okay.
Now Aerochrome's impossible to get unless you're like on eBay willing to spend a ton of money and take the risk that it will turn out.
Is Aerochrome the infrared one?
Yeah.
So that's like, I was fortunate enough to have like a weird Red Raptor that was converted fully to full spectrum.
Oh yeah,
and
nice.
That was super fun, but one of the reasons I bought my Monstro is because you can do that without actually converting the sensor. You can just swap out the OLPF. And so I'm going to be trying to do one of my big brain projects, one of my big idea projects that would be super hard to do is I want to photograph really cool locations throughout Utah. But I'm going to use the Monstro to do it in infrared. So just do infrared photography using the stills mode out of the Monstro because it's like 36 megapixels. So that's a project that awesome. I want to do. Let's
super
see.
Cool.
Dave, we're running short on time, but we've got a little bit of time left. I want to cap with some of your favorite spots. Me and Dave, we did a photo walk in Chinatown with Jay, with Jaime, which was super fun. But it was poorly timed, so we didn't get out of it what we wanted. But the next day, which is kind of my video that you'll see tomorrow, is our basically running around New York, taking as many photos and videos as we possibly could. Is there anything for you, any of those spots that were like, oh, this is just really cool?
Yeah, I feel like we didn't do a good job with Brooklyn. I want to go back and do Brooklyn again.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I feel like I did a little research about where to go in Brooklyn, and I ended up taking us to the hood. So we ended up in like the hood.
I had a blast,
great, though.
man.
It was awesome. Yeah. But I didn't do my research the level I thought I may have. But I'd like to do that again.
Yeah.
I think that like I have. Like San Francisco has the largest Chinatown outside of China in the world. So I get Chinatown here and like in an amazing way. If you ever come to San Francisco, if you're from San Francisco, whatever, we have an incredible Chinatown here. The New York Chinatown and Little Italy area, it's a cool area. We were there in the morning. Nobody was out. So I would like to check that out again and see what it's all about, especially Little Italy. But I think, New York, it was so huge. I was telling my family this, like, I think I touched like 5% of the city, you know?
We didn't come close.
Yeah. Like, I don't like when it comes to New York, I just don't know it well enough to say this was a cool spot to go photo walk. I will say that I think my favorite place I walk through personally, I loved the West Village. Like walking in that area, which was actually the day before you and I hung out. I walked from like, I don't even know where I was like way down there and I walked back up to the hotel. Brandon and I actually were staying at neighboring hotels and didn't know it till like the second to last day. But
we're like, have we been literally next door neighbors this whole time?
Like side by side. Yeah. But I really enjoyed Times Square at night in the rain. Like, I think those I was not trying to go to Times Square while we were there, but I think going there at night actually was cool. In the rain was even cooler. And I can't wait to share my Monday video, which is about, honestly, the Monday video is about like, I'm not afraid to take my M11 in the rain, go shoot it in the rain. I'm not afraid of it. Not sure why on Monday, but everyone out there was like, some people were like, you're an idiot. Why are you out here with this M? It's not weather sealed. And it was like pouring rain.
Yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't scare me. So, and Brandon was out there with a red camera, also not weather sealed. Like, um, but yeah, Times Square in the rain, that was really cool.
The Times Square in the rain was a lot of fun. So here's something that I state in the video, and this isn't it's not a knock. It's just when I'm in those big groups, like, when we went and shot in Brooklyn, it was like the
Mhm.
four of us. Three of us for a while,
Yeah.
then a four, and then back to three, and then it was just two, and
Yep.
that was super fun. Times Square, I think there was like 8 or 9 of us, maybe more.
No, bro, there were 15 of us total.
Holy shit! So it was me, you,
Yeah, 15
Chris,
total.
Jaime's video guy, Bowser. Then we had Ryan, the guy from Utah, which was really
Yep.
what a quinky dink.
Ryan's cool.
Then we had Portrait Poppy. AV did it.
AV.
We had David, who's
Ryan's
like
wife, Allie.
my channel. Yep, his wife, Allie. Then we had Alex Barrera. Yeah,
Yep.
you're. And then Sofal, who's Ishkan's friend that I met at the thing. And then I didn't catch his name, his friend that came with us. So there was
There were two more guys that came as well towards the end of it.
Oh, really?
God, there's another more balloon. Every time I hold my fingers
damn,
up, balloons pop up. Yeah, 2 more guys came towards the end of it through my Instagram.
So we had this huge group, and I don't know about you, but I'm a highly distracted person. It was New York for me. If I think I'm gonna make New York be one of those things where I'm like, I've got some photos that can go in a portfolio. I don't think I can do it with a group. I'm just so happy to be around people and like get my hangs in, as Tyler would say, and like feed off people energy. It's not to say that I didn't take some good photos. I think I did grab like a couple that I was like, oh, these are cool. But for me to do New York justice, I really think like I got to go off on my own for like 3 days.
Wow.
I don't know about you, like, because you took some brilliant photos. I saw those like West Village photos that you posted, and I was like, oh, these are really pretty. Like Times Square for me was like an absolute shit show. I ended up getting like 2 or 3 of them, and most of the fun was literally giving. So I put like one of those Polar Pro light leak lenses on it and gave it to Jaime and watched him run around and terrorize people with it. That like kind of like made my night. But Times Square in those conditions were super fun. It wasn't great for me like photo wise, but it was a blast. The Statue of Liberty, like being on the ferry, that's where I would say I got my most, like the best work that I did, because I really like, I got my shots and I felt that way you feel when you pass in front of it. But there were so many people with just like this look in their face. I was like, oh, this is cool. Like now I can like capture some people through either the reflections in the windows or the people just like, gobsmacked by it. I think that's where I did the most work.
Yeah. I got some photos on the ferry that I was really happy with as well. But for the most part, I was like on the ferry more as like tourist Dave, not so much photographer Dave. And dude, I don't know, when we were coming back from Staten Island, there was a dude on the 3rd floor. I forget. We all split up. So we were running around doing our thing. But there was a guy on the 3rd floor and I didn't see him, but he had his girlfriend like posing at like
I know.
open door.
Are you talking about the young guy that was like super tall and he had his camera with him?
Yes. So this girl was like, her hair was blowing, and I was like, I didn't know that she was posing for a photo. So I walked in, I was like, God, what an amazing moment. So I started busting off some pictures of her, and then I see to my right, I'm blind to my right eye, I didn't see him. Okay, I turn and he's like sitting there. I'm like in his spot where he was gonna stand. He's just waiting for me to finish. I was like, oh, my bad, bro. So then I just disappeared for a while.
Yeah. I saw them. I saw him, like, how you could go like in between, outside, inside, outside. So he was inside, she was outside, and they had a friend too. There was like a second chick that was like posing with him. It was kind of interesting, like watching this interaction. But I too didn't realize that they were posing, and I was like, wow, this is like such a great moment. So I took a photo of it. I was like, oh, I just got somebody else's like photo shoot. So speaking of great photo spots, Build is happening. So that's the B&H event that's taking place June 17th and 18th. Will we be seeing you there? I'm going. Will we be getting
Oh
a
yeah.
Dave 2.0 photo walk?
Yeah, I probably won't be at this one.
Okay.
I've got some other plans throughout the summer where I'm going to be focusing on a few different areas, and I'm already my travel schedule has been insane the last couple of months, and May is absolutely bonkers. Like I'm
Yep.
leaving
Yeah.
I got home and then I'm leaving in a couple of days, and I'll be gone another week.
Yeah. I fly
So
out tomorrow morning.
June is some road trips that I'm planning to do, and hopefully drag one, if not both, of my kids along.
Oh,
So
cool.
I'm going to be sticking around the Bay Area. And then I got some plans to travel in June and July, but drive and take family. So, yeah, that's kind of, that's what's next on my horizon.
Sweet. Dave, it was a pleasure. I know you've got an important phone call to make here pretty soon. So I will stick around
Got
and
to call
answer
that guy
questions
about my
for
M11.
people. But if you do have any last second questions for Dave Herring, because he's got to go,
Yeah, I'm cool to hang for
please,
another minute or so. Let's do it.
yeah, please give him a few moments. Jaime says, "What? Portrait Poppy was there? Yeah, buddy, he was there
Yep.
with us the whole time."
It was
Yeah,
funny. I was down there kind of early and I didn't know he was down there already. And I was just kind of standing around, like looking around, taking it all in. And then he showed up and it's like got in my face with a flash and busted it off. I didn't even know it was him. It was like scared me to death. And I was like, oh,
yeah.
it's Jacob. It's awesome.
They were super cool. That was my first time meeting him, even though he lives here in Utah.
Yeah.
He's friends with Kyle Mishna and Johnny. I don't see
Mhm.
Johnny that much, but I see Kyle a lot. So I might run into him.
I'll be
at
with those
some
guys
point.
next week. That's where I'm going. I'll be
Oh,
with Kyle and Johnny up in Wyoming.
sweet.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome. Is it for, are they doing a seminar or something? Or
No,
is it
we're
just
all like just it's like a photo hang
gotta get out to
up
the
in Wyoming.
Tetons?
Yeah, yeah.
Sweet. Dude, don't drop your pin, Dave. It sounds like you were pretty apprehensive about saying exactly where you were going. Some weirdos are going to find you out there. Let's see.
I will be in
Ishkan.
Jackson. I'll be in Jackson, Wyoming.
Okay, way to tell everybody right. Ishkan stoked. I kind of pressured Ishkan into going to build, but it's not that
Nice.
hard. Ishkan
Nice.
is a 1 hour flight. It's like 5 hours from me, Ishkan. Grow up there.
Yeah.
Camera Fusion, I'll be there too. It sounds like I think I convinced Cam Mackey to go. So he was like, man, I really
Nice.
wish I would have gone to the event. I'm like, buddy, it wasn't private. Like, you could have. He's like, God damn.
Yeah.
So I think he's gonna go to build, which will be fun.
Nice.
All right. Since we didn't have any other questions, Dave, I just wanted to say thanks, man. Super cool to
Yeah,
have
dude,
you
thanks
on
for
here.
having me, man. First live stream. I never do live streams. So this has been really fun. Really cool.
I gotta be honest, like I feel like we crushed it. You did. You were a fantastic guest. Like we didn't
Oh,
have
thanks,
any
man.
weird lulls. I didn't like we actually have more people now than we did when we started. So we
Hey,
did get
that's always a
one
good sign.
dislike. We got one thumbs down, which is what I'm shooting for
That-
always. Very
That's okay. I
consistent.
get those on every video. So
Yeah.
they were from me, not you.
For sure. Dave, thanks again. Everybody, just so you know, all of Dave's channel is in the description. So go to his YouTube. Dave does some awesome work. His video that he just released today on the Leica Event, please go watch that. You can also contact Dave through his shop, which is dave.online. That's also linked. Dave's presets, the very good presets, as you heard, he dumps so much time into them. This isn't just like we just threw some shit together on Lightroom and no, like this is like really well thought out stuff. And it's priced really well. I was kind of shocked when I went on there today to kind of like get some bio info and make that highlight. Like I went to your Kodak Vision 3 and I was like, that's it. I really thought it was going to be much more money.
We try to price. We have a lot of global sales, and not everybody is a wealthy American. So we try to price. In fact, the U.S. only makes up about half the sales. So we try to price in a way that is accessible.
That's awesome. So yeah, you definitely check out Dave's presets. Sounds like you've got some really cool stuff coming around the corner. Also, if you do get the presets, you can join Dave's very good Discord, which was rad.
You don't have to have presets to join that. Anyone can join that. Descriptions are
I can't wait
in
to
my
come and just F shit up.
yeah, please come over. Please come over. It's a good time in there. We started that I think about a month ago. There's about 400 people in there right now. It's a lot of fun, a lot of good
Wow.
conversations. It's really cool. So yeah, come check it out.
Yeah. And then finally, Dave's Instagram is also linked where he shares a lot of his photos. So, Dave, thank you so much. I really
Yeah,
appreciate you
thank
coming
you,
by.
man. Really appreciate you having me on here.
For sure. Send me a picture of that safari when you get it. Okay.
Yeah, fingers crossed. We'll see.
All right. Take care, Dave.
All right,
We'll
Brandon.
catch you later.
Thanks, man. Thank you,
Peace.
guys.
How cool is that? I'm so stoked to have Dave as a friend and technically like the first guest. Like Cam was like my first guest, but so I'll be on here for a little bit longer, not too much longer, but I do want to answer any of your questions that you have. Also, I want to point out that how cool is that? That's Cam Mackey's light, and I thought it would be kind of fun to make the red dot for this live stream, so that's how we're doing it. Cam's new light, you can actually buy like a little mini spotlight projector and make cool things like that. So that was fun. I just got another dislike. So thank you, whoever hit the thumbs down. Let's see. Camera Fusion, great show, fellas. It was great meeting you guys. Dude, it was a pleasure. Keep posting because we don't get to see nearly enough videos from you. Jaime, where is this event? B&H, New York City. Yes, so it's the B&H Build event, June 17th and 18th. It's free to register. Jaime, it would be awesome to have you there again because you were a fantastic tour guide and I loved spending time with you. Matthew O'Brien, dude, you said you weren't going to make it and then you came. So thanks for coming and I'm glad you enjoyed it. Oh, sorry, Julia. I did not see this. My bad. I will ask him. Ansley says he's going to fling a booger at Dave. Jackson. Angel, this was great. Thank you. Chris, yes. Thanks for coming by and hanging out with us. Chris, just FYI, everybody, Chris is the Chris we were talking about that does the Capture One conversions for very good presets. So if you use Capture One, Chris, this dude right here, is the genius that makes it all work. And after talking to him, he is a genius. That much I know is true. He also wears really fancy shoes to do photo walks. I've never seen anybody wear like fancy wing point like shoes to do photo walks. Hopefully your blister is doing okay though. Upgrade M10R or buy 35 APO. I don't know if you're asking me or Dave, but I don't know if you currently have the M10R and you're thinking about upgrading it, or is that the camera you're upgrading to? For me, the M11 was kind of this perfect balance of high performance, but also creature comforts. The battery life was much better. I love USB-C charging. I really don't want to buy a camera that doesn't have it. The internal storage is the best thing, though. 256 gigs of internal storage has saved my ass like 4 times already. When my card runs out, there's 2 shoots that I forgot a card. Bailed me out of a big old jam. The 35 APO is awesome, just FYI. Voigtlander also makes a 35 APO that you could jump into without spending $9,000. But the Leica one is very nice. And they also announced a 28 APO. And I will be definitely getting that one. Oh, Angel says currently have the M10R. I would only upgrade if you aren't getting something out of that camera. From what I've heard, the M10R is fantastic. Chris says all of the blisters have been healed. Listen, if you've got any remaining questions, please send them in. I got home Monday night. I spent 22 hours in less than 2 days to get this edit done. So that will be going up tomorrow morning. And so please go watch that. But all of that is to say, I have a flight at 6 a.m. to LA tomorrow morning, and I have yet to pack. So I still have to pack. So I am going to be wrapping this stream up pretty soon. I just wanted to say thanks for coming by. I think this was our most successful stream in terms of like interaction and the amount of people that came. It's so cool to see it every week just get a little bit bigger and people joining in and asking questions. I love it. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, there's a lot of you that watch the videos, that comment, you're crazy supportive, and I found out that not a lot of you are subscribed. And one of the reasons, I was told from somebody, they thought it cost money to subscribe. I mean, that's what it sounds like. It's not an actual subscription for YouTube. It's free. You just hit the subscribe button. I don't send you anything. It's just like, hey, you want to be a member. And that goes a long way for us that do YouTube when it comes to like brand deals and trying to make cool shit happen. But anyway, thank you, everybody. It was a pleasure to have you on. If you do have any questions and the stream ends, feel free to DM me. Here's my Instagram. That's where you can find me. So send me a message there. Anyway, thanks so much. I hope you guys have a great night. I know it's getting kind of late out there on the East Coast, but that's it for me. I'll catch you later. Peace.